Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? And my God, has it been a crazy one. Not only did we get the first official look of Maul Shadow Lord and Ezra Bridger for Ahsoka Season 2 this week, but San Diego Comic-Con is this weekend, and the weekend is not disappointed, let's say. We got some Maul Shadow Lord leaks in terms of plot and possibly getting Darth Talon in that show. And John Boyega. Is he coming back to play Finn? Well, he finally chimes in and gives us a response to that. And, I mean, it's more of the usual, but we got to talk about it. We have 300 days until the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Yeah, that's right. Only 300 days till we're back watching a Star Wars movie in theaters. But let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? So we got a lot of crazy stuff to get into. San Diego Comic-Con has given us a ton of new announcements for Star Wars books, Star Wars comics, and some other crazy stuff. Nothing like a trailer has dropped yet. Still holding out hope. But, of course, D23 is next month, so that's probably where they're going to give us a Mandalorian and Grogu teaser trailer or a Darth Maul official trailer being released. But we got a lot to talk about today because this week has been one of the biggest weeks for Star Wars news of this entire year. From Maul Shadow Lord to Ahsoka Season 2 to George Lucas. That happens tomorrow, but even still. To George Lucas and John Boyega. It's a lot. But before we get into any of it, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? WUV Grad, what is up? John Groom, how we doing? Droopy McCool in the building. Tafari Tano, what is up? Greg, how we doing? Holly in the house. Matt, what is up? Fearless, how we doing? Greg in the building. Darth Plagueis lives, what is up? Fick Hone, what is up? That guy B, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Nathan, what's up? Dustin, how we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. All right, you know the deal. If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So, these Maul leaks have got me even more excited than I ever possibly could have imagined for the Maul Shadow Lord series. Yes, Darth Maul is my third favorite Star Wars character of all time. We've talked about this before. So I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this Maul Shadow Lord topic. And I think this show is going to be incredible. But this sounds awesome. I know a lot of people have heard these leaks about Darth Talon, or at least not Darth Talon, that the fact that this character could be a brand new one in the Star Wars galaxy. And I see this in a completely different light than everybody else. So we'll get into that in just a second. But we got to talk about all the Star Wars panels from San Diego Comic-Con that we've already received and the announcements that have come from that. Because, yes, they're sort of not big announcements like a new show or a new trailer or anything live action or animated, but it still is very important. There's a lot of new stories and new projects being announced right now, or last night, right now, that people aren't really talking about yet. So let's dive into that stuff first, and then we can talk all about Shadow Lord and all about John Boyega, because, oh my God, I think he's coming back. I think he's coming back! Even though a lot of people will say, Mike, he's been very vocal about not wanting to come back to Star Wars. He crapped all over the sequel trilogy. He's talked so much crap about Disney Star Wars. Yes! That's why he should come back. We'll talk about it! All I know is
this is where the fun begins.
And I'm excited. Okay. We got people yelling at me in the chat. Agnes, what's up? Mr. Beckham in the house. How we doing? Sombra, what's up? Okay. Let's dive into this stuff, shall we? Let's dive in. So first things first, let's start with the announcements that came out for new projects. A bunch of stuff. So I can't really call it novels or comics because it's everything and everything in between. So San Diego Comic-Con has been pretty huge, to say the least, just over the first couple days here. Because not only on Thursday did we get the first official look at Maul Shadow Lord, which we dived into dove into? Yeah, we talked quite a bit about this. This happened on Thursday, and first look at Ezra Bridger in Ahsoka Season 2, which, I mean, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, because we got a ton of other announcements. Take a look at this. San Diego Comic-Con highlights from the Lucasfilm Publishing panel. This is from StarWars.com. Let's take a look at this. So, I won't get into all this stuff because, I mean, honestly, I have not read a bunch of the High Republic books, so I don't really know what's going on here. But the finale of Phase 3 for the High Republic books, for those of you who are reading them, give me a 1 into the chat if you've read the High Republic books. Chat? Address the shirt conspiracy? Okay, so before we get into this, tell me in the chat if you're reading the High Republic. Before we get into this, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody guessed the shirt today. So we have a new thing going on the channel starting this week, by the way. This was the first week we did it, where if you guess my shirt that I'm wearing, which is always going to be a Star Wars shirt, if you guess my Star Wars shirt that I'm wearing before the live stream begins, I will give you 1,000 credits. And if you find the Easter egg in the background of every live stream, I will give you 1,000 credits. Holy crap, the one today is really hard to find. It kind of blends in. But nobody's guessed the shirt yet. So the conspiracy is, brought to you by WUV Grad, is that I change my shirt right before the stream starts. Now, I mean, I don't know how to prove to you that I'm not doing that, but I'm not that crazy. I'm not running upstairs and changing my shirt. I'm not bringing down extra shirts to change into. Like, there's no shirts around me right now. I've been wearing this shirt all morning. This is not, I didn't just put this shirt on right before the stream started so that I wouldn't give out 1,000 credits. I want you guys to win. When you win, I win. We all win. It's not a conspiracy. But okay. That's the shirt conspiracy going on here, because nobody's got it right. Don't blame me. It's your fault. You can't guess the shirt. That's on you. It's not me, it's you. I'm not crazy, she's crazy. Where were we? Oh my God, John Groom already found it? What the hell? I thought this one was going to be hard to find. John Groom found it in 2 seconds. Yes. Here's your Easter egg of the day. Anybody guess who that is? Anybody, chat? Anybody? Damn, I thought he blended in pretty well right there. But John Groom wins it. John Groom, that is 1,000 credits coming your way. I'll do it at the end of the live stream. Yes, it's Obi-Wan. Okay, where were we? Now that we got so rudely interrupted. Oh my God, a super chat? A super chat? Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit, Darth Plagueis. Says, I find the lack of super chats disturbing. Me too, you know? Me too. But I appreciate that, Darth Plagueis. I really, really do. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. Keep the lights on. So I appreciate that. And said, Maul is going to be better than the Clone Wars? Holy crap. Now that's some pretty high praise there. I don't know about that. The Clone Wars is some of the peaks of all peaks when it comes to Star Wars content. So for Maul to be better than that, that's going to be pretty difficult. Could it? Maybe. But we'll dive into the Maul stuff later on. But I appreciate the super chat. Okay. Where were we? So these were all the announcements, new projects that got announced yesterday at the panel for Lucasfilm's publishing. Phase 3 comes to an end. The finale of the High Republic. This is comics, I believe. Yeah. July 30th. That's in a couple days. That's in 4 days from now. Young Jedi Adventures continues. This is where things get pretty cool. We got to look inside the art of the Acolyte. Now, for a show that's been canceled for a second season, we certainly get a lot of Acolyte stuff. And as we look at these new things that have been announced yesterday and today at San Diego Comic-Con, there is quite a few Acolyte things. Now, this one goes into the art of the Acolyte, where we see Vanestra Rowe's lightsaber almost looked completely different. Looked like Force lightning, but purple, which would have been insane. You see that they almost gave her hair, too, which would have been weird. Well, she has hair in the High Republic books, but even still, this is the design of the ship. So, yeah, that stuff. That doesn't come out until January 13th, though, of 2026. Here's where things get kind of interesting. A little horror in your Star Wars, as they announced this Tales from the Nightlands, a horror comic for Star Wars. Now, I know there's a lot of horror fans out there that are also Star Wars fans. I'm not the biggest horror guy, but we do have a character coming up in canon, or hopefully, a character by the name of Abeloth, the Mother, in Ahsoka Season 2, and she's going to be very horror-y, if that's even a word, but she's going to be creepy beyond belief, because she has the weird, creepy smile. She's got, she's creepy, okay? Abeloth, this might be not an introduction to Abeloth, but definitely a, Actually, what are we looking at here, Jed? Is this? Hang on, let's read the description here. Star Wars Tales of the Nightlands from author Cavan Scott. Cavan Scott? Sure. And Dark Horse Comics will introduce fans to the Nightlander, a Star Wars boogeyman designed by legendary concept art. Is that Ian? Is that an I or? Yeah, I'm guessing it's an I because it's capital. McGregor, that seeks to possess the living host and bring misery and despair to the galaxy. That sounds nice. Get ready to hide under your covers when the first issue of Tales of the Nightlands releases September 5th of this year. So that's actually only in a couple months here, or a month and a half. Let's take a look. Whoa, that is creepy. Luke and Leia. Finn. Younglings. Is that Kanan? No. No. Okay. So I'm guessing this isn't canon. I mean, unless. You got Finn there, Luke and Leia there. I thought this was Balin and Shin for a second, and this was going to be Abeloth calling to Balin, which would have been insane, but I don't think it is anymore. That's pretty cool. So for you horror fans out there, you got some horror Star Wars coming your way. General Grievous stuff. For people who want more General Grievous, the hyperspace stories continue with some Bad Batch stuff too, but also Dooku and Grievous stories. More Clone Wars stuff, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Wait, who is this? Is this supposed to be Obi-Wan? I don't think so. Oh, that's Obi-Wan. Who's he with? Hang on. Hang on, Chad. Kit Fisto. Ah, there's Kit Fisto. Who is this, Chad? Who's that handsome fellow? I don't know. Moving on. Number 6. Behind the scenes, fans got a look at ILM's 50th anniversary book. So Star Wars is celebrating its 50 years coming up in 2027. But because ILM was founded a little bit before that to create Star Wars that released in 1977, we get a 50th anniversary book of ILM a little bit sooner than that. So we get a behind-the-scenes look at the creation of the original Star Wars movie and, of course, all the other things that ILM has worked on over the last 50 years, which is pretty much everything. I was watching the credits for Superman when I went to see Superman the other day, and ILM was working on that too. Lucasfilm had credits in the Superman movie. So pretty much every movie nowadays has been worked on and touched by the genius of George Lucas and his creation. But that's pretty cool. So finally, after years and years of many fans begging for this, the time has come. Just in time for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which comes out in 300 days. Start the countdown, chat. 300 days until the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which comes out next May 22nd, 2026. Star Wars The Mandalorian Visual Guide, a closer look at Season 1 through 3 of the beloved Disney Plus series, is written by Lucasfilm's Pablo Hidalgo. And you can get this Grogu children's book as well. So the visual guide books have been released for pretty much every show. And now we're getting a 1 through 3 of The Mandalorian. The Acolyte visual guide book just came out a month or two ago. And I mean, we've gotten it for pretty much every live action series. But The Mandalorian season 1 through 3 comes out. Wait, when does it not say? Oh, coming in April. Yeah, coming in April of next year. So to get you hyped up. Here are the Bad Batch stories I was talking about. So even more from these hyperspace stories, the comic run that issue 1 arrives on December of this year. Even more comic stuff. And other comics revealed during the panel included covers of particular interest of the fans of Dr. Aphra, Legacy of Vader, which is the Kylo Ren running comic right now, and Jedi Knight in the Star Wars flagship series. So those are not final. The Boba Fett, black, white, and red. This is the, I guess, biggest news of the weekend, I would say, other than the official look at Maul and Ezra. This is pretty crazy. This is not the official, not final cover, whatever. Breaking news. The Outlaws are back. Low Red Moon is the title. A Star Wars Outlaws prequel novel is coming to a bookstore near you on February 3rd of next year. So ND5, which is this droid right here from Star Wars Outlaws, and Jalen Varick, sure, embark on their descent into the galaxy's underworld in this essential Star Wars read, and now it's available for pre-order whenever books are sold. So that won't be until February of next year. This comes with the bad news, I suppose, of Star Wars Outlaws 2 being canceled. So this was a little bit of a surprise to me. Star Wars Outlaws, we're going to read this article in just a second here, but Star Wars Outlaws, give me a 1 into the chat if you played Star Wars Outlaws. It came out last September, I think, maybe last August, I'm not too sure. But we played through it here on the channel. I did a run through of the entire plot or the entire campaign or whatever you want to call it, the entire story of Star Wars Outlaws, following K-Vess during the time of the original trilogy as a smuggler, and it's an open world Star Wars game where you get to pretty much control what happens. You get to be friendly with the Hutts or be enemies of the Hutts. You get to be friendly with Kira and the Crimson Dawn or be enemies of Kira and the Crimson Dawn. It is a really cool game, plot-wise, but for some reason, it wasn't very popular amongst Star Wars fans. As you can look in the chat right now, not a lot of you, actually I see only one, not a lot of you have played this game. It did not make a lot of money, actually probably lost a lot of money, because it didn't sell very many copies. In a time where Battlefront 2 is booming right now, still booming, this game failed miserably. So the news of today is that Star Wars Outlaws 2 was in development and has since been canceled. So we're not getting a sequel to this game. K-Vess as a character will seemingly evolve into nothingness unless she comes over to live action in the Mandoverse or whatever. But she seems to be a character that's just going to vanish off the galaxy. I was going to say the surface of the Earth, but off the galaxy. And Star Wars Outlaws will be a game of what ifs. If you ever want to go play that story, you can. It's an open world Star Wars game. It's got Darth Vader. Spoiler alert, sorry. It's been a year. Spoiler alert. It's got Darth Vader. It's got all the cool things of that make Star Wars cool. Being a smuggler, bounty hunting missions, all that fun stuff. And yet, it failed miserably. But why did it fail miserably? That's sort of the conversation that this article right here is getting into. And it's actually a very interesting one. Because Battlefront 2 right now is a massive success. Andor Season 2 was just a enormous, critically acclaimed, and fans who watched it absolutely loved it. Some people calling Andor Season 2 the greatest Star Wars to ever exist. I don't agree with that, but I get where they're coming from because it is very, very good. So, with that being said, let's take a look at this. Why did Star Wars Outlaws fail? And why was Star Wars Outlaws 2 canceled? Ubisoft says that Outlaws failed because Star Wars is less popular now. But that's just not simply the case. Not at all. Because Star Wars right now, as I've said before, it is the perfect time to be a Star Wars fan because you can go back and watch anything and everything on Disney+. You can get hyped up for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie in 300 days. You can get hyped up for the Maul Shadow Lord leaks that just came out, which we'll talk about in a second. It is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. However, according to Ubisoft, it's the worst time to be a Star Wars fan. Because this shit stinks. In recent general meetings at Ubisoft, CEO, and I'm not even going to try to say his name again, was quick to blame Star Wars Outlaws' failure to meet sales expectations on the brand itself. And we talked about this a little bit last stream, but this goes into a lot more detail here. According to the CEO, the brand that Outlaws belongs to was in a bit of choppy waters. Now, again, you have to give him some credit. The Acolyte was the last show to come out. We were in between the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, two projects that weren't really popular, to say the least. So Star Wars was in a little bit of a lull. But that doesn't really affect how this game should perform. Maybe it does. I mean, Andor Season 2 was a big reason as to why Battlefront 2 is booming right now. So, I don't know. Outlaws failed because of Ubisoft. The company's cooked. You said it, I didn't. I mean, Ubisoft is in a very difficult spot right now. They have yet to come out with a game in recent times that has performed very well. You know? But here's the thing. I got to play devil's advocate here. I loved Star Wars Outlaws. I thought the game itself was awesome. I know there was a lot of bugs on release, but I didn't have any of those. So for me personally, I thought the game was awesome. Open world Star Wars game. It feels like you're living in an immersive Star Wars galaxy. You could go to Jabba the Hutt's palace on Tatooine. You could go to Mos Eisley on Tatooine. I don't even remember the other planets, if I'm being completely honest with you. I haven't played this game in over a year. Or not over a year, but almost a year. So, yeah, I don't really remember what happened in the game. But I do remember that it was fun, and I had fun playing it. And it's an open world Star Wars game. I'm typing from under my bridge. Nice. If Ubisoft didn't make a profit, their whole wait, what? Their whole game? Oh, Outlaws Ultimate Edition, then more people would have bought it. Well, the problem now too with video games in general is that a lot of games are free. A lot of the best games out there right now, especially multiplayer games, they're free. It's the same issue that Nintendo just had with the Switch 2. Now, the Switch 2 is performing very, very well, but the games are ridiculously expensive, and people are not happy about it. But I'm getting off topic. Back to Star Wars Outlaws and why Star Wars Outlaws 2 just got canceled, okay? And now it seems that as though Outlaws itself has been canceled. If the rumor for a potential sequel, and it was not a rumor, it was confirmed, for the game being scrapped is to be believed, gutting for any fans who were looking forward to the next step in K-Vess's adventures. It was supposed to be the next Jedi games. K-Vess was supposed to be the next Cal Kestis, and it didn't work. It really did not. So we were supposed to get a second and maybe even a third Jedi or Star Wars Outlaws game like we're getting the Jedi games, because Jedi 3 is currently in development. But that's no longer the case. But is the CEO of Ubisoft correct in saying that Star Wars is a spent force? No. The truth may not be that simple. While Star Wars isn't at death's door, it's clear to anyone looking in that it also isn't the same juggernaut that it was from 2016 to late 2019. That's a weird date to pull up. This is from Rogue One to The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I will say that I disagree with this. I think the Star Wars fandom now, in 2025, off the backs of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Andor and all these Disney Plus shows, is a lot bigger and more invested now than it was in 2019 or 2018 for that matter, when Solo and Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi had just come out. But I don't know. You guys tell me in the chat, when do you think the Star Wars fandom has hit its peak? Like its most engaged, let's call it. You tell me. Star Wars Outlaws was released in August of last year. So almost a year. Hot on the heels of its June release of The Acolyte, one of the most expensive Star Wars shows ever made, and one that was completely mirrored, sure, in controversy from the get-go. I mean, it came out to a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was never really even given a chance. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on this. That's better. It wasn't even given a chance. And you guys know how I feel about The Acolyte, but we'll see. Not getting a second season with that either. From the stars calling out Disney for not protecting its non-white cast from the truly eye-watering amount of hate being thrown their way, to review bombing, it felt impossible to wade through the muck to find genuine, good, faithful criticisms addressing The Acolyte's failings. I mean, we talked about The Acolyte beyond, like, just the absolute hate that it got in the Star Wars fandom. We actually dove into it here, I think. Fair criticisms, what we liked and didn't like, without the whole hatred happening. But it was very hard to find places where you could do that without just getting absolutely destroyed in comment sections or just for your opinion on whether or not you liked the show of The Acolyte. But even after the show was canceled before the second season, the conversation surrounding its effort to tell a unique story, utterly separated from the Skywalker name, continued for months afterwards. So even after The Acolyte got canceled for a second season, the conversation around the show, it continued for a long, long time after it. Actually, it's still continuing now, over a year after it finished its finale. And did that affect Star Wars Outlaws? Well, let's see. Not longer after, Skeleton Crew premiered on December 2nd. Now, Skeleton Crew to me is a very, very different conversation than The Acolyte. Like, very, very different. The Acolyte got a lot of hate for what the actors and actresses said behind the scenes and the creators themselves. But with Skeleton Crew, we got an absolutely incredible Star Wars television show with Jude Law starring in it. And this kid cast that was unbelievable. You got Neil, of course, who's the GOAT. But nobody watched it. Now, maybe it's because of The Acolyte. Maybe it's because of the failings of The Acolyte in Star Wars Outlaws as well, not doing well. But Skeleton Crew itself, it's an incredible story. I know a lot of us around this channel specifically had an insanely fun time watching this show. So, to me, the failings of Star Wars Outlaws are not as surprising as the failings of Skeleton Crew. Because Skeleton Crew is almost like The Mandalorian in a way. It's not The Mandalorian season 1, let's say, because I was going to say it's not connected to anything, but season 2 of The Mandalorian has Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, and Luke Skywalker, so that's pretty connected. But Skeleton Crew season 1 is a lot like Mando season 1. It's all new characters. The story's not really connected to much of anything else. There is the New Republic. There is mentions of the Old Republic and the Empire and all that stuff, but it's not really connected to anything else. It just gives you a great new story in the Star Wars timeline with brand new characters, the same way that The Mandalorian season 1 did. However, the difference in viewership numbers for The Mandalorian season 1 and Skeleton Crew are like night and day. They're not even close. But why is that the case? Well, despite being set up as Star Wars' answer to the Goonies and Stranger Things, it failed to capture an audience, with its 2-episode premiere earning only 384 million minutes watched, in comparison to the premiere of The Mandalorian season 2 and 3, which earned watch times of 1,032 and 823 million minutes watched. Pretty much 3 times the amount of Skeleton Crew. But it isn't difficult to see why the CEO of Ubisoft would be pointing the finger at Star Wars for being the problem rather than Star Wars Outlaws, the game itself. However, yes, here we go. To all intents and purposes, Star Wars is hotter than ever right now. Andor Season 2 remains critically acclaimed. Critically acclaimed. And its viewer numbers during its release were fairly decent, a lot higher than Season 1. Albeit slightly boosted by the simultaneous release of 3 episodes each week, but that was, I think, on purpose. There was also a strange case where EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 smashing its previous records of player count 8 years after its initial release. So the hype for Star Wars over the last, I'd say, 4 months, April, May, June, July, 4 months, since Star Wars Celebration, since Tales of the Underworld, since Andor Season 2, since Battlefront 2 was breaking records, the hype for Star Wars over the last 4 months is to the level I've never really even seen. The only thing I can think of that is probably more or close to would be 2015, where The Force Awakens came out. And we got the ridiculous hype of Chewie, we're home. Like, that was probably a little bit higher than we're at right now. But on the surface level, Star Wars is in. Star Wars is hot. Pause. I want some Star Wars. Star Wars, it's got to be. People are hyped up for the Star Wars universe right now. So, it's not the fault of the Star Wars fandom that Star Wars Outlaws failed. And that all leads to Star Wars Outlaws 2 being canceled. So, with all that in mind, it seems evident that, as well as having significant losses, there are also some incredible wins for the franchise right now. So one question remains. What is doing well for Star Wars and why? Let's take a look at this. The Mandalorian, even in its lackluster Season 3, soared higher than the other Disney Plus Star Wars properties in terms of viewership numbers. The first season was released around the same time as The Rise of Skywalker, a film just as divisive as its predecessor, The Last Jedi. While general sentiments around the sequels English chat. Sequels failures, let's say. The Mandalorian arrived at a time when fans were eager to move away from the lightsaber fights and big names like Skywalker and Solo. I mean, Luke Skywalker is in The Mandalorian Season 2, but I guess that, yeah. Instead, they wanted the everyday man, the everyman, the average guy who was just trying to make a living in the galaxy. Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian, real name Din Djarin, was that guy, and more. So Pedro Pascal, who by the way is on a crazy heater right now, Fantastic Four, no spoilers in the chat, please. I saw it twice already since we last met. I saw it on Thursday night after the live stream, and I saw it on Friday during the afternoon yesterday. It's awesome. That's all I'll say. It's awesome. I had a blast watching it. It's a great story. Pedro Pascal's the lead. He's Reed Richards. So he's a pretty big name in Hollywood, let's say. He's doing it all. Actually, I think right now he has 3 movies in the movie theaters. You want to go see a movie right now? You have 3 options for Pedro Pascal films. But he's also Din Djarin. He's the Mandalorian. In the Mandalorian and Grogu movies in 300 days. But he's the Mandalorian. And that happened in 2019. It helped that The Mandalorian featured a much more grounded setting, at least at first. The majority of this first season is Din in seating bars and rural villages, speaking to the everyday person and fighting back against the remnants of the Empire or even pirates. While war undoubtedly still plays a part, as it always does in Star Wars, I mean, it is called Star Wars, it wouldn't be too remiss to say that it was mostly about people and not really a big nefarious villain introduced until the very end, which was Moff Gideon in the final 2 episodes of the show. They make a great point here, actually. The first season of The Mandalorian is very much mission of the week type stuff. Introducing Grogu, introducing Din Djarin and Cara Dune and Greef Karga and all these new characters, but it's not until the final 2 episodes where we get the villain. Moff Gideon's not there until the very end. Yes, so I see a bunch of you guys saw Fantastic Four. Yeah. It was indeed fantastic.
Execute Order 66.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it at least once. I'll probably do it again. Okay. But as much as the everyday man, or every man, and a familiar setting matters, the Mandalorian's real super weapon, and in my humble opinion, the reason why it continues to do so well, is because of the ultimately a family-friendly show. Din Djarin chooses to throw in his lot with Grogu, a cute alien creature that, of course, was called Baby Yoda for a long, long time, and effectively becomes his parental figure throughout the 3 seasons of the show. So sort of the father-son duo, which is seen all throughout Star Wars and all throughout media now. The Last of Us, Pedro Pascal, yet again. But the father figure type of role, father-son duo, that is seen Luke and Vader, Han and Kylo, or Ben Solo, Hunter and Omega. I guess that's not father-son, but father-daughter. Sort of a similar, I guess not. You get the gist. A lot of Star Wars projects are very similar in that way. And The Mandalorian does it in an extremely heartfelt, inviting, cute Grogu way. I mean, look down. He's on your shirt right now. Grogu is everywhere. That's why the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the next Star Wars movie. That's why in 300 days, we'll all be sitting in the movie theaters watching the Mandalorian and Grogu on the big screen. 7 years after they debuted on Disney+. Because Grogu is awesome. And Pedro Pascal's cool, I guess, too. Yes. But who doesn't love the dad and his son storyline? Throw in the fact that Grogu is cute. That doesn't hurt either. And yeah, that's why we're going to the big screen with that. Now, nostalgia, of course, plays a role, and they go into this stuff when it comes to nostalgia being a big reason as to why there's successful projects like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and Ahsoka, because these characters have already existed. And maybe that is a reason as to why Outlaws didn't. There is Vader, but other than that, it's all new characters and not ones that we really like too much. There's nothing attached to the story, except for Kira, I guess, but even still, that's a side character in a side movie. So it doesn't really work too well. But either way, all this to say that Star Wars Outlaws 2 has been canceled. And K-Vess is probably not going to be seen for a very, very long time. And that, Darth Kratos, what's up? How we doing? I didn't realize that Kratos turned into a Sith Lord. All that to say that this book has been revealed at San Diego Comic-Con, along with all these other projects that we talked about before. But this book is the most important one because Star Wars Outlaws 2 has been canceled. So, we do have a couple more things here that got announced at San Diego Comic-Con. That was called Star Wars Celebration. Hasbro has announced their new Black Series figures. You got Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Pretty awesome. Palpatine versus Mace Windu. Pretty awesome. Luke versus Vader on Bespin. Anakin and Rex. Bounty hunters, Jango Fett and Asajj Ventress as a bounty hunter. That's pretty cool. Chimera. So like I mentioned already in this live stream multiple times, although the Acolyte Season 2 has been canceled, it seems like they're really doing a lot of Acolyte stuff. From Acolyte books, one's already come out. One comes out in 3 days from now. The Jecki and Yord one comes out in 3 days. To action figures, to all these comics and visual guides and art of the Acolyte. Like they're doing a lot. Comics, books, stories all over the place to continue this story without giving us a season 2. So clearly, the people who have been looking forward to more Acolyte storytelling, more of these characters, you'll get it in some sort of way, just probably not in an Acolyte season 2. Sadly. So Chimera is another Black Series figure that was announced. Han and Chewie. These are more of the vintage ones. Ooh, Force Ghost, nice. Oh my God, they did the Force Ghost Anakin, Yoda, and Obi-Wan, and you can interchange Hayden Christensen's head for Sebastian Shaw's head. That's pretty cool. The original Anakin from Return of the Jedi. That's pretty cool. Then we got one of the shock troopers from Revenge of the Sith, which is pretty cool. Nice Republic gunship there. Yeah. So those have been the announcements and reveals, I guess, from San Diego Comic-Con so far. Now, they don't really, actually they don't at all. They don't have any live streams for San Diego Comic-Con, which kind of sucks. So we're only getting the information whenever Star Wars posts it like that, or whenever leakers or articles come out about San Diego Comic-Con. But one of the biggest things that remains this weekend that we're looking forward to the most is George Lucas. For the first time ever, George Lucas is at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, he's not there to talk Star Wars, but I mean, he's probably going to talk Star Wars. He's not there to talk Star Wars, although that is inevitable. He's there to talk about his museum. So the museum he's been working on for years now is finally coming to fruition and finally going to be opened next year. Next spring, I think? I'm not too sure. But that happens tomorrow. So the big finale of San Diego Comic-Con is George Lucas, which is pretty awesome. So keep your eyes open for that because there might be some pretty cool things happening there. But George Lucas is in attendance, and there'll be some pretty big news there. So that's all the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. Let's talk Maul Shadow Lord. So the leaks have been leaked. There have been leaks for Shadow Lord, and they've been interesting, to say the least. Many fans have been disappointed because one of the big leaks or big parts of the leaks for Maul Shadow Lord have been that the character, the Twi'lek apprentice of Darth Maul that will be introduced in this series, is not named Talon. Her name is not Darth Talon. These leaks suggest that her name will be Terran, something along those lines. Terran, which is close to Talon. I wrote it down somewhere over there. It's close to Talon, but it's not. Now, the good news, or I think this is good news, is that Darth Talon is a Sith name. Meaning, this character's name is not going to be Talon. The same way that Count Dooku's name isn't Tyrannus. The same way that Palpatine's name isn't Sidious. The same way that Anakin's name isn't Vader. Those are Sith names granted to the characters after they become Sith Lords. So, the leaks of this character, this Twi'lek apprentice to Darth Maul in the Maul Shadow Lord series, her name not being Talon means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it has started the conversation online that this character may not be Darth Talon? So I'm going to put up a poll. Let's put up a poll in the chat. If you haven't smashed a freaking like in this stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Get on that. Well, let's see this. Do you think this Twi'lek, how do you spell Twi'lek, chat? I know there's a apostrophe somewhere in there. Twi'lek? Is that right? How do you spell Twi'lek, chat? Twi'lek. No, that's not right. Twi'lek. That looks right. Is that right, chat? Is this Twi'lek character in Maul Shadow Lord Darth Talon? Yes or no? Oh, I spelt it wrong. Thank you, chat. I forgot the I. Twi'lek. Boom. There we go. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, chat. Is it Darth Talon? Yes or no? What do you think, chat? Are we actually going to get the canon version of Darth Talon in this Maul Shadow Lord series? Yes or no? The leaks are suggesting no, because it has a different name, this character. But Twi'lek, apprentice to Darth Maul? George Lucas's initial sequel trilogy plot was going to have Maul come back as the villain. Leader of the underworld, apprentice, Twi'lek apprentice named Darth Talon. Does that sound familiar? You don't have deja vu, chat. That's exactly the plot of this Maul Shadow Lord series. It just doesn't take place after the original trilogy. It takes place before the original trilogy. Maul will be the leader of the Crimson Dawn. He will be the leader of the underworld, building up power. He will have a Twi'lek apprentice, maybe named Darth Talon, but that's the exact same plot. And this wouldn't be the first time where we have a Legends character come over to canon. Right now, one's being set up to be the heir to the Empire. Grand Admiral Thrawn existed in Legends first. Yeah, to take a step back, you have to look at who's in charge over at Lucasfilm. Right now, it's Kathleen Kennedy. But the rumor has it that before the end of this year, Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck will be co-CEOs of Lucasfilm. Carrie Beck focusing on more of the business side of things, and Dave Filoni focusing on the creative side of things. Right now, Dave Filoni is the chief creative officer, oversees all things creative over at Lucasfilm, meaning a lot of these projects are going to be heavily influenced by Dave Filoni, a guy who's been very vocal about how much he loved the 90s books of The Heir to the Empire and all the Legends material that came before it and after it, because that's what he grew up on, was that Legends material. So that guy who's now in charge of the company has the ability to take his favorite characters from when he was a child and bring them over to canon. He's going to do so. And he already has done so with Grand Admiral Thrawn and Rook, Pelion, and I'm sure a lot more from the Heir to the Empire trilogy are coming. Mara Jade, we talked about recently, possibly coming to canon, and I'm sure a lot of other ones. But Darth Talon, being Maul's apprentice in Maul Shadow Lord, seems like a no-brainer, especially when the leaked trailer has a Twi'lek apprentice for Darth Maul. So you tell me in the chat, do you think that this is Darth Talon? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. He'll probably give her the tattoos as well later on. Yes, because in the trailer, this Twi'lek apprentice does not have tattoos, and Talon's very iconic look is tattooed up. I'll show you. Darth Talon. If you don't know what Darth Talon looks like, she has this very tattooed appearance, much like Darth Maul. She looks a lot like Darth Maul, being all red and having the black sort of accent tattoos. And the actress, let me see if I can find this. The character from the leaked trailer, Maul Shadow Lord. Let's see if I can find it. Aha, here we go. This character from the leaked image of Shadow Lord. See if I can find a less grainy version of it. That's actually a pretty good one. This character right here. This is from the leaked trailer of Shadow Lord. I mean, she's a Twi'lek. People think that she's more pink than red, but it might just be the lighting. She's a Twi'lek apprentice to Darth Maul. She doesn't have the tattoos that we see here. Those can be added later. But clearly, if this isn't the same character, they're setting themselves up for failure. They are setting themselves up for failure. Because right now, Star Wars fans all see this character and go, that's going to be Darth Talon. And if it's not, if it's a brand new character, they're in deep doo-doo this time. Because this has to be the same one. I'll call her Talon until we get a name. Well, I mean, me too. The leaked name is out there. I think what's going to happen is when this show drops and we find out that this character right here is not named Talon, people are going to lose their minds. I guess deservingly so. But they're going to lose their absolute minds. Even though we all know, as Star Wars fans, that a Sith gets its name in a different name when it becomes a Sith Lord. Anakin to Darth Vader, Palpatine to Darth Sidious, Count Dooku to Darth Tyrannus. All having different names. So when this happens and people lose their minds, let's all remember, chat. Let's all keep a cool, leveled head. And remember that a Sith Lord gets a new name. I can see it now. I can already see it now. Oh no, Star Wars fans lose their minds. What else is new? Yeah, overreacting is what we love to do. Yeah. Darth Talon's one of my favorite favorite Siths. Sorry. Yeah, I mean she's one of the. She's a goat. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she'll be wearing the leather bikini. No, I don't think so either. I don't think she'll be looking like this in canon. However, she'll still exist in canon. Water is wet, sand is horrible. Star Wars fans losing their minds. Yeah, those are all pretty standard things. Yeah. By the way, this poll right now in the chat has 82% of you thinking, yes, this Twi'lek character is Darth Talon. And I completely agree with you. This leak for the Maul Shadow Lord series, it just is telling us that the name is different. That's it. Is there any connection between Twi'leks and Togrutas? I don't think so. Oh, because you mean the two like long ears? No, they're not ears. What? Tails? Head tails? I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think they're connected in any sort of way. Yeah. No. You think they're related? Really? I don't think so. Leku, thank you. Yeah, well, it's Leku for Ahsoka, but I don't think it's called Leku for Twi'leks. I don't know. Somebody can fact check me on that. Somebody can fact check me on that. So, in a same week where we get the first official look at Darth Maul, which is this right here, and I mean, he looks incredible, wielding his double-bladed lightsaber. There's going to be a ton of lightsaber duels in this series because it's Maul versus Inquisitors, it's Maul versus Vader, it's Maul versus Palpatine. There's a lot of people wielding lightsabers in this show. So we're going to get a lot of lightsaber duels. Even him training this possible Darth Talon character, they're going to train with lightsabers. So actually, Sith Lords have to kill a Jedi to acquire a lightsaber and then bleed the crystal. I wonder if Maul is going to stay that route and make Talon do the same thing. Interesting. Maul versus Marok. Yes, we know Marok will be in the series as well. I really hope they drop the trailer for the public. I thought it would have happened yesterday, and it didn't. So I'm certainly thinking that it's not going to happen this weekend. But next month, the end of next month, is D23, which is Disney's sort of time where they announce all their stuff. So I would be shocked if we don't get a trailer for at least Maul Shadow Lord at D23 next month. Especially now that they're dropping all this stuff, official images. Obviously, they didn't drop the leaks, but leaks are being thrown around. Yeah. If Star Wars is making decisions based on what fans based on expected fan reactions, then they're doing it wrong. If the story is good, it doesn't matter what the character's name is. True. I just think it would be very strange for them to introduce a apprentice to Darth Maul. That's a Twi'lek that isn't Darth Talon. That just seems weird. Like, that's just weird. Why do that? You could give him a new apprentice that's anybody else. They give him Kira, and that's perfectly fine. Kira's a human being, not a Twi'lek. So nobody's assuming that Kira is Talon. But when you give him a Twi'lek apprentice, you gotta assume it's Talon, and fans will be disappointed when it's not. I will say, though, she may never be referred to as Talon in this series. And it might not be for a long time where we ever see her dubbed the name Darth Talon. It's weird because Maul has shedded the name Darth. He doesn't go by Darth anymore. I don't think he sees himself as a Sith, really, either. So his apprentice wouldn't be one either. So Darth Talon won't get the name of Darth Talon until later down the line. Now, we've been speculating about this for a long time now, but the possibility of getting a Kenobi Season 2, which introduces Darth Krayt, or Asherad Het, and then eventually becomes Darth Krayt, and then Darth Krayt and Darth Talon could start up their own sort of Sith cult type thing. That would be really cool. But that's just a big old fan dream of ours. Like, that's not something that's been confirmed by any means, by anyone. So she might never go by Darth Talon in this series. Yeah. Maul is no longer a Sith, right? Doesn't he say that? And the Inquisitors refer to him as a shadow. Well, he's dropped the name Darth. That's sort of the thing. So he's, yes, still wielding from the dark side of the Force, but it doesn't make him a Sith Lord. You know? Yeah. I'm pretty sure there would be the same level of irrational uproar regarding the quality of the story. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If the name Talon is the one thing that people are complaining about when it comes to Maul Shadow Lord, then we are in a great spot. Because if that's the one thing that we have to complain about, that's like when you're watching Andor, and the one thing you're complaining about is the fact that there are screws or bricks in Star Wars. That's like when you're watching, what was it recently that we just watched where there was a ridiculous complaint? It might have been in Andor Season 2. I just can't remember what it was. But you know something is really, really good when the complaint is about something so unrelated to the story. Oh, was it? I think it was The Acolyte, actually. Yeah, the complaint for The Acolyte being not anything about the story. Actually, the complaint about The Acolyte was that it was going to retcon Star Wars, and it never did. But that was another thing. But no, it was Andor Season 2. I just can't remember what it was. Bail Organa. Yeah, people complained about Bail Organa, but that was a little bit valid because he was recast. No, that wasn't it. It was something else. I don't recall. But that's when you know a project is good, when the complaints are about something that has nothing to do with the plot, has nothing to do with canon being broken, has nothing to do with anything important. It's just people looking for something to complain about. That usually is the case when it comes to Star Wars projects. Ahsoka's another great example of that. The one thing that people complained about the most was Sabine Wren being able to wield the Force. Yeah, I mean, she trained for over 15 years with 2 different Jedi Masters. Obviously, she can wield the Force. It's actually crazier that she couldn't wield the Force for over 15 years of training with 2 Jedi Masters. Like, what are we even talking about here? Yeah, that's the complaints that we hope for when it comes to Maul Shadow Lord. If the complaints are Talon's name isn't Talon, we're in a great spot. Yeah, we're in a great spot. True, John, that was a complaint, but yeah, that was, again, necessary for the story. Yeah. So, with that, we know for a fact, because of these leaks as well, that Maul is going to be, well, we kind of knew this already, but the leaks confirmed it. Maul is going to be building up his underworld, and he's going to be going after Palpatine and Vader, because, the 2 of them. But that's sort of what happened when it came to Clone Wars Season 7. When Maul is pleading to Ahsoka on Mandalore to help her take down Anakin, who has been long groomed to be the apprentice to Palpatine and take over the whole galaxy, Maul's still going to be on that. Even though Ahsoka's not there to help him, he's going to be building up his underworld presence so that he can take down Palpatine. Now, what his reasoning for that is, I'm not too sure. Do you guys think that Maul's actually going to try to take over the galaxy? Do you think that's his real goal here? And if not, then, well, what is it? Sidious is going to send Inquisitors and then Vader after him? Yeah. It's when Maul becomes an issue for Palpatine. That's when he's going to actually take it seriously and send a whole lot of people. He'll send Inquisitors first, and then he'll send Vader after. And maybe even send himself, which would be awesome. He wants revenge. But revenge for what? Revenge for what? Dylan, what's up? How we doing? How we doing?
Hello there.
Power and revenge. It is an interesting thing because Maul is trying to take over the underworld for a purpose, to overthrow Palpatine. But I don't really get the vibes from Darth Maul that he's trying to overthrow Palpatine just to gain power and take over the galaxy himself. That's just not what I get from this whole Maul thing. And again, you got to remember where he ends up. Where we see him on Malachor 5, he's completely lost his mind. He wants this weapon on Malachor 5 because this temple, this Sith temple, when powered by the holocron, is an actual weapon. We don't know how powerful that weapon is, but we know that it's a weapon. That's what he's there for. He wants this weapon, seemingly to kill Palpatine, or at least stop him from whatever he's doing. Why? What is his motive? That's what's most intriguing to me going into this Maul Shadow Lord series. He killed his brother. Oh, so that's what the revenge is for, because he killed his brother? Maybe. Yeah, that's actually not too bad. I like that a lot, because he killed his brother. He's also going to spend a lot of time on Dathomir. Like, that's where his home base is going to be. We know that because of Solo. He tells Kira to come to him on Dathomir. So if he's back home, because it is his home world, if he's back home on Dathomir, we're going to get a lot of magic, Night Sister stuff, maybe even some more Zabraks, because we know from Clone Wars, on the other side of the planet, there's a whole village of Zabrak characters. Maybe we'll get some more of that. I don't know. The Night Sisters are all technically dead except for Merrin and Asajj. But Dathomir seemingly is going to be this main planet of the Star Wars universe moving forward. Because Thrawn is there in the Mandoverse right now. Maul is there in Maul Shadow Lord. And it seems like these two projects are going to be pretty connected. Especially because Maul comes out first, setting the line for what Dathomir is going to look like later down the line. Derek, what's up? How we doing?
This is where the fun begins.
Yes, the Night Sisters are all wiped out. Grievous, Dooku, they slaughtered them. But that still doesn't mean that we're not going to get a lot of Night Sister stuff. Like lore, maybe some surviving Night Sisters like Morgan Elsbeth and Merrin and Asajj Ventress. I definitely think that... Actually, let me ask you guys. Do you think that Star Wars Underworld, Tales of the Underworld set up Asajj Ventress and her new apprentice to be in Maul Shadow Lord? They clearly set up more story to be told with Asajj, but do you think it was to set up her appearance in Shadow Lord? I don't know how many familiar faces we're going to see. Obviously Palpatine, obviously Vader, obviously Inquisitors. But for good guys, will we see Asajj Ventress? It's crazy that I'm calling Asajj Ventress a good guy, but she technically is now. Asajj Ventress, even maybe Ahsoka Tano, but probably not. She's in hiding at this point in the timeline. But other surviving Jedi of Order 66, maybe. Try to think who else we could even see. Bounty hunters, not really good guys, but Boba Fett, Cad Bane, Dengar, Bosk. A lot of these characters could very likely appear in this Maul Shadow Lord series. It's more the question of, is it going to be all about Maul? Or is it going to be like Rebels and Clone Wars, where we're doing other side missions with characters that aren't our main characters? Because if it's really all about Maul, and Maul's in every scene, in every episode, it's probably going to be more confined to just Maul, Inquisitors, Palpatine, and Vader. But if there's other stuff going on at the same time, if we're exploring the galaxy at this time right after Order 66, then we could get some we could get some bounty hunters and Asajj Ventress, and maybe some Order 66 survivors, which would be pretty cool. Maul chains Kira, true, but that doesn't happen until way later. Way later. In the comics, Kira says that Maul wanted to stop the Sith. Yeah, obviously he wants to stop Palpatine and Vader. But to what extent? Like, what is his goal and all that? Of course, Derek wants Cal Kestis and Merrin. I don't know if Cal Kestis will be in Maul Shadow Lord per se, but he does go to Dathomir in both games. In Jedi Fallen Order and in Jedi Survivor, he's on Dathomir. Karen Malicos, of course, Merrin is a Night Sister. Maybe. It'd be crazy if the first time we see Cal Kestis outside of the Jedi games is in Maul Shadow Lord. And it wouldn't really be able to happen until in later seasons. Because the first season is going to be right after the Clone Wars. And right after the Clone Wars, Cal's not on Dathomir. It's not till years and years later. Yeah. Wait, does this mean that Terran Malicos is still on Dathomir? Or would that happen after? We did the math last stream. Jedi Fallen Order takes place 5 years after Order 66. And this is going to happen like right after Order 66. So there's a couple of years before we get Terran Malicos and Cal Kestis on Dathomir. Yeah. Oh, the Crimson Dawn is definitely going to be a part of it. I mean, the criminal underworld allows you to see Pikes and Hutts. Jabba the Hutt would be nice too. The Black Sun, like all these criminal syndicates will, of course, be in this series. Oh, who's the main guy from a main Crimson Dawn-y guy from Solo? What the hell's his name? I'm just keep thinking of Tobias Beck. It's not Tobias Beck. What is his name, chat? The main villain dude from Solo. My brain is broken. Maul wants what's rightfully his. I don't know. I don't know if he thinks that the whole galaxy is rightfully his. Dryden Voss, thank you, yes. I think Voss will definitely be in this show and maybe even have a pretty big role because he was in Clone Wars Season 7 in that little hologram scene that Maul has, the meeting that he has with his criminal underworld. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Bob. Yeah, his name was Bob. Yeah. No, his name was not Bob. Maul didn't even have a lightsaber after the Clone Wars. Will we see him get a new one? Wait, what? Maul fights Ahsoka with his double-bladed lightsaber, no? Oh, but he gets captured. Does he lose it? I think it's time I gotta go rewatch Clone Wars Season 7. I think that's what's gonna happen here. Does Maul not have his lightsaber when he leaves the ship? No, he wouldn't because he does the hallway scene without his lightsaber. He's using pieces of the ship to slice people's heads off. Does Maul not have his lightsaber, chat? Hang on. So this right here, you're telling me, chat, is a new double-bladed lightsaber? What? Nobody could still have the Darksaber. Well, the Darksaber is on Dathomir. We know that because by Star Wars Rebels, it's on Dathomir. He gets another double-bladed lightsaber? But isn't the lightsaber that he has at the end of Clone Wars Season 7 the same lightsaber that he has in Solo? Or am I wrong? Because in Solo, he has the one that's almost like half of a Inquisitor's lightsaber, almost. Like, hang on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Darth Maul's lightsaber in Solo. Yeah, this. It's this really cool design. Oops. This. It's got like the half broken Inquisitor look to it. It's got the backwards there. But is this what he has in Clone Wars Season 7? Hang on. In Clone Wars Season 7. It's not. Interesting. Wait, what? So his lightsaber in Clone Wars Season 7 is half his original lightsaber? What? What's going on here, chat? Hang on. So this is the lightsaber that he has in Clone Wars Season 7. This is half of his original lightsaber from The Phantom Menace. And then this half is a newly acquired lightsaber? Is that what you're telling me, chat? It got cut in half. Yes, I know that. It's cut in half in The Phantom Menace. But I didn't realize he still had half of it. And this is what he has in Solo. And then this is what he has in Maul Shadow Lord. What does this guy just stumble across double-bladed lightsabers on the daily? Because this looks different than this and this. Does it not? By the way, look at the animation difference here. This is Clone Wars Season 7 Maul. And that's Maul Shadow Lord Maul. Which one do you guys like better? Clone Wars Season 7. It's more of like a... The only way I can describe it is it's not dull, but it's like more of a dull look here. And then it's more sharp here. If that makes any sense at all. But which one do you guys prefer? Clone Wars Season 7 design Maul? or Maul Shadow Lord design Maul? Let's actually put this up in a poll. Let's pull it up, chat. Let's pull it up, and let me get to that super chat in 1 sec. By the way, 88% of you say yes, you think that Darth Talon is going to be in Maul Shadow Lord. Okay. Let's do this. Which Maul... Yes, muted. Thank you. Muted is a better word than dull. Which Maul version do you prefer? Or do you like more? We'll go. Clone Wars Season 7. Or Maul Shadow Lord. Which one do you like more? Honestly, I like the Shadow Lord one more. I like that they changed the design of the animation, even though I loved the Bad Batch animation so much. I like it because it's a bad guy centered show. The first ever bad guy lead in a show. The whole show is focused around Darth Maul, the bad guy. And they do that visually in the animation style. Like, it's sharper, it's more dark, it's more brighter colors. The contrast is red versus the black. Like, it feels, whoops, that's the wrong tab. It feels more like a villainous show just from the style of animation. You can't make out the details in Shadow Lord still? Well, this is just one frame. And at that, it's a kind of a blurry one too. But I keep clicking on the wrong freaking tab. But it's such a different style, and I kind of like it. But tell me in the chat, what do you guys prefer? And while you do that, let me get to the super chat. Ron with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that. Says, how many years do you think that the Maul show will cover? Honestly, all of them. And that sounds crazy, but hear me out. The Maul show is going to fill in the gap for Maul's story. And that gap is from Clone Wars to Rebels. There's only one appearance of Maul in between those 14 years, and that is in Solo. And it's for like 30 seconds. So 14 years has to be covered throughout the course of this Maul series. How many seasons is that going to be? If I were to guess, I'd say Maul Shadow Lord's going to be 3 seasons. Each season's going to have a huge time jump in the middle, or each episode's going to have a time jump in the middle, and each story is going to cover just the important pieces of Maul's journey. Maybe it could be 4 seasons, maybe it could be 5 seasons, but it's got to cover 15, 14, 16 years, somebody said. 16 years. That's a long time to cover. A long time. You got to lead it all the way up until he gets to Malachor 5 in Star Wars Rebels, which is a long time. So I'm not too sure. I know for a fact how many years it will cover. That's 14 to 16, because Star Wars Rebels starts in 5 BBY, I believe. So that's 14 years. Yeah. But how many seasons it will cover, I have no clue. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bumpa. Okay. I'll go until he leaves on it'll go until he leaves for his quest for the weapon. Yeah. It'll go until he goes to Malachor 5. Exactly, Simon. So how many seasons that takes, though, that's up for debate. I say 3 seasons. I say only 1 season. Well, it definitely can't span over 14 years in 1 season. I think that's impossible. Like, there's no way to do that much storytelling. Oh my God, Ron with another $10 haul. That's insanely generous. Star Wars lore says that Palpatine has several lightsabers, so Maul could also. Yes. Well, we know Palpatine has at least 2 because he pulls out 2 lightsabers to absolutely destroy Maul and his brother. But Maul is already up to how many lightsabers now? He has his one in Phantom Menace. I guess the one in Clone Wars is a version of that. He's had the Darksaber. He has the one in Solo. Is the one in Solo the one that he has in Rebels? And now he has this one in Shadow Lord. So that's at least 5 lightsabers. Who keeps giving this guy lightsabers? He clearly can't take care of them. Hang on. Darth Maul's lightsaber in Rebels. Let's see. Oh, yeah. In Rebels, he has like the Kane lightsaber. Oh, so it's the same. Yeah. All right. So his lightsaber in Rebels is the same as in Solo. So for at least that time period, he has the same lightsaber. But that lightsaber from Solo and Rebels, which is this, is far different in design than this. And now it makes it so much cooler because this is clearly half of an Inquisitor's lightsaber. As you can see, it's got a broken off piece of the circle part that's on an Inquisitor's lightsaber. And that's gonna, I mean, he needs a new lightsaber because this is not that lightsaber. Imagine, this brings us all back to Darth Talon. This Twi'lek apprentice here, that we don't know if it's going to be Talon or not, but this Twi'lek apprentice, where does she go? They're not going to introduce this character and then just kill her off. They're not going to introduce this character for no reason. So where does she go? What happens to her? Well, maybe she just takes Darth Maul's lightsaber and leaves. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe that leaked picture is his, maybe he's borrowing it from somebody else, an unknown character. He could have taken this from an Inquisitor. That'd be kind of cool. Like he's fighting Mark and he just takes it right from him. That'd be pretty awesome. That would be awesome. But Marok has his lightsaber in Ahsoka, which is weird. Darth Drafter with a 12-month membership badge. Holy crap. I've got a good feeling about this. Me too.
This is where the fun begins.
12 months is insane. I appreciate that, Darth Drafter. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. And by the way, is it Tuesday that's a giveaway? I think Tuesday, this coming week, is the giveaway for the month. So you don't want to miss out on that. But that's pretty cool. So Maul's lightsaber is a big key part here because that's not the same as the one he has in Solo or in the Clone Wars. So we got an in-between lightsaber here that he's holding, which is pretty damn cool. Pretty cool. Imagine he gets his lightsaber from Malachor, from an ancient dead Sith. That'd be cool. But the problem with that is he has this lightsaber before he goes to Malachor. It is kind of true, though, because Malachor, there was a bunch of lightsabers just laying around. So even if you aren't a Jedi and you can't get a kyber crystal from like Ilum or something and then make a lightsaber, you could still find a lightsaber just around. If you go to Malachor 5, you could find hundreds of lightsabers just laying around. That'd be kind of cool. Maul changes lightsabers just like Obi-Wan kept losing his robes? What? Obi-Wan kept losing his... Was Obi-Wan naked and I missed it, chat? What? Oh my God.
I got a bad feeling about this.
WUV grab at the 7-month membership badge. Almost to a free saber of my own. Oh yeah, you're getting there. Over halfway. Over halfway. Halfway there. Anybody know Big Time Rush? Chat? Anybody? A little bit off topic. Just a little bit off topic, you know? Big Time Rush, Star Wars. Holy shit. Darth Drafter with a $50 super chat? Are you kidding me? Holy crap. Sorry I've been busy lately, and I have 2 close friends pass recently. It's been a roller coaster. Holy crap. Sorry for your loss, Darth Drafter. That's Sorry. And don't worry about being busy. Hey, I'm always going to be here every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the rest of your lives. So you guys get busy, you go get a new job, you go have some things happen in your life, whatever happens, I'll always be here. All right? I'll always be here. But we're all here for you, Dr. Drafter. I'm so sorry for that. But that's insanely generous, and I appreciate it quite a bit. That's insane. I definitely miss Naked Obi-Wan. Oh, yeah. That's
Incorrect.
Yeah. Obi-Wan loses his cloak before he duels in a lightsaber duel. Oh, okay. I got you. Are the baddies different from the goodies? Yes. Not too sure how to answer that. Now I need to rewatch Solo. Yeah. Maybe Maul gives Talon one of his crystals. It will be very interesting because Talon, or this mysterious character that's not named Talon, what happens to her? If she just disappears, like just literally just up and vanishes at some point in the show, and then we get a Kenobi Season 2 announcement, we might be seeing, it might make all our dreams come true. Darth Krayt, Darth Talon, like that would be so cool. And it would allow for the Rey movie to have good villains. Not good villains, great villains. Because the problem is, post-sequel trilogy, how do you set up a villain that's better than Palpatine? You can't. Let me stop right there. You can't. Palpatine is one of the greatest, if not the greatest villains of all time. From beginning to end. So to have the next main villain come into canon and not be somebody close to as awesome as Palpatine was, which is very, very difficult to accomplish. That's the biggest issue for the Rey movie, is a good villain. Star Wars has always had a good villain because it's always had Palpatine. Right now, we don't. And we can't have somehow Palpatine return again. Please, no.
I got a bad feeling about this.
However, if you set up Darth Talon as Maul's apprentice in the Darth Maul Shadow Lord show, and Darth Krayt, who fought against Obi-Wan Kenobi in the sand dunes of Tatooine, and those two go off and make their own Sith order, a whole bunch of Sith, to combat Rey's new Jedi Order, then you can have a new Jedi-Sith war in a post-sequel world. And that's not Palpatine, but that's pretty damn good. Because now you can have Finn as a Jedi. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. And you can have all these Jedi versus all these Sith. And those two Sith that are leaders of the group, Krayt and Talon, will have been established in an Obi-Wan Kenobi series and a Darth Maul series. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Oh, Jacob upgrades his membership to a master level. I appreciate that. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars back at the master level. I would welcome you again, but you've already been here, so you know. You know what? Hit it again. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. That's so funny. Somebody put up the top smugglers list, and Jordan Rennie's still at the top of that list. That's pretty funny. I mean, nobody's even really close, but people can try. Okay, as I brought it up, let's switch gears a little bit over here to John Boyega. So John Boyega was at another convention, as he's been at quite a few lately, talking about Star Wars. Now, many fans have very differing opinions when it comes to John Boyega, because some fans have heard him say how much he despised his time, or not despised, how much he hated his time. Hated even sounds worse than that. How much I don't even know. How much he disliked his time with Star Wars because of how they treated his character and all that other greatness. He's talked about how this really wasn't a strict plan for the sequel trilogy. He's just been very vocal about negative things when it comes to Star Wars. So those people think that never, ever, ever would John Boyega come back to Star Wars. However, we know how big a Star Wars fan John Boyega is. And if the story is right, and the money is right, of course, how quickly he would come back to the role of Finn because he loves Star Wars. So recently, he's been going to a bunch of fan conventions, seeing how much the Star Wars fans love him and the character of Finn and want to see him back as a Jedi. And well, he gives another update as to whether or not he'll be coming back and if he'll be in the Rey movie. Now, before we get into this, before we get into what he said, let's put up a poll in the chat. Do you want John Boyega to come back and play Finn? Obviously, he'd play a Jedi. That was clearly what was set up in Rise of Skywalker. And now with Rey having a new Jedi Order, it seems highly likely that he would be a Jedi. But tell me, do you want John Boyega back in Star Wars as Finn? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. Let's do this. Okay. This interview is with Carly King, another YouTuber out there, so go check her out. But here's a conversation with John Boyega. We're just only watching a clip of it. It's 50 minutes long, so if you want to watch the whole thing, you can go watch it over there.
One of the most, and I never knew that Darth Vader had like a synthetic apprentice that he had created.
They're talking about Force Unleashed right now, but hang on.
Legend, yeah, exactly. But it's so, yeah, for sure.
It's,
It's legend.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Totally, it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The new Rey movie. I don't want to pick your brain too much because I know there's outside forces, no pun intended.
Oh, I'm rebel. I'm outside of it for now.
Fair enough. Are we gonna get more Finn?
I don't know. I have no idea. If I did, I'd give you an answer that told you what I really meant.
Right.
I really don't know if I'm involved. Yeah. So far, I've heard what you guys have heard. And I've been playing it coy with Daisy. Like, I'll text her about her family and stuff and not mention. Just to break the ice a little bit, because I know that Daisy won't tell me. Of course. Because, they'll kill her. So I know that, but I'm like, something's going on with it. But I heard recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, I read online that they were delayed.
I heard that.
Yeah, so they go into that, but here's his response initially. He says, well, first he says that he's a rebel because he's outside of all that stuff. Hang on, let me try again.
Right.
Created,
in legend. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's
allegedly,
so, for sure. It's legend.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Totally, it's so interesting.
By the way, just great questions.
The new Rey movie. I don't want to pick your brain too much because I know
it almost looks like a cut there, Chad. Maybe I'm crazy. But it almost looks like a cut there.
There's outside forces, no pun intended.
Oh, I'm rebel. I'm outside of it for now.
Fair enough.
So she's talking about outside forces like NDAs. Like Disney, of course, makes sure that nothing gets spoiled out there because actors sign NDAs and they can't really say anything, whatever. He's saying that he's a rebel. He's outside of all that stuff. Now, he could be saying that because he's already signed an NDA. I'm not too sure. And we never can really tell with these actors or actresses because they can lie all the time. But he does seem to be, I kind of believe him here. I think that he is still outside of this whole system where he hasn't signed anything yet. However.
Are we going to get more Finn?
I don't know. I have no idea. If I did, I'd give you an answer that told you what I really meant.
Right.
I really don't know if I'm involved. Yeah. So far, I've heard what you guys have heard.
That's where I think he's lying. That's where I think he is lying. The Rey movie has been in production now, or has been in some form of production now, for 2.5 years, because it was announced at Star Wars Celebration in 2023. So at least 2.5 years. At some point over the course of those 2.5 years, he would have to have been contacted in some sort of way. So for him saying that he hasn't heard anything one way or another, I don't think that's true. I think there's something where he probably got a call and they said, we want you to come back. And he said, okay, show me the script first. John's pretty smart when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's been very vocal about how the sequel trilogy should have had a plan from the beginning. And I think he's not going to agree to come back unless that's made clear. Like, he wants to know that there's a plan from the beginning. And right now, I don't think they have that. So I don't think he's signed on to anything yet, but I think he's been contacted. Yeah.
And I've been playing it coy with Daisy. Like,
Right.
I'll text her about her family and stuff and not mention. Just to break the ice a little bit, because I know that Daisy won't tell me.
Of course.
Because, they'll kill her. So,
Of course, a joke, but I mean, who knows anymore? But no, it's of course a joke. He's talking about contacting Daisy Ridley to sort of break the ice and be like, hey, let's get me in this movie, So he clearly wants to come back. This is something that has been changed over the last couple of years because people were like, there's no way he'll come back. He never wants to come back. There's no way that John Boyega will ever come back. He was treated so poorly, blah, blah, blah. I disagree with that. I mean, yes, he was treated poorly through the sequel trilogy, but I do think that he wants to come back. Him being this massive Star Wars fan is what allows him to agree to something where he wants to come back. Now, that's a little bit different than will he come back. The story has to be good. The money has to be good. And, I mean, a lot of things have to align for him to come back. Everybody has their price. That's very true. But with that being said, tell me in the chat, do you think he will be in the Rey movie or even not the Rey movie? Could he be in anything else? Star Wars Starfighter, Ryan Gosling, we know for a fact has really nothing to do with anything. It's supposed to be a standalone story. But these standalone stories have been very connected to other things. Solo, Rogue One, those have been extremely connected to all other Star Wars projects. Yeah. Disney did him wrong. True, I mean, Disney did do him wrong. There's no denying that with his character arc over the 3 movies. But they could fix it. We've talked about fixing the sequel trilogy, in quotations I put. Fixing the sequel trilogy all over the place. From making Luke Skywalker's exile better by possibly introducing Mara Jade into canon and maybe even giving more reason as to why he becomes an old hermit on Ahch-To, to Palpatine's return, to everything and anything. Ben Solo's fall to the dark side. But even in the post-sequel world, you can make the sequels better by making Rey as a character, by making Finn as a character better, and making that pay off more. Because if Finn does become a Jedi in the Rey movie, and he has this great arc where he is a Force user and wields a lightsaber and has these cool adventures, then the sequel trilogy is pretty much just a setup for the character of Finn to do that. The Stormtrooper becomes a Jedi arc, is completed, and it would be one of the coolest arcs in Star Wars. Yeah. He'll probably run out of money. Well, I mean, money definitely talks, that's for sure. But I think he wants a great story. And by the way, the poll right now in the chat seems to have you guys agreeing with me. Almost 80% of you say you do want John Boyega back as Finn. I honestly think people would want him back as Finn more than they'd want Daisy Ridley back as Rey. And I want Daisy Ridley back as Rey because I want that the story of the Jedi to continue. And if what we were just speculating about with Darth Talon and Darth Krayt comes to fruition, then that would be even better. Finn versus Darth Talon? Rey versus Darth Krayt? Sign me up. Like the Clone Wars enhances the prequels. Exactly. The Clone Wars enhances the prequels. Rebels, Rogue One, Andor, those all enhance the original trilogy. And maybe you're going to sit there and go, Mike, it doesn't need enhancements. Sure, but it gets them anyway. A New Hope, I guess the whole original trilogy, is made better by Andor in Rogue One. And Rebels, but even still. More Andor in Rogue One directly. The sequel trilogy doesn't have any of that. It really doesn't. Yeah. Skywalkers are so played out. I disagree. I think a lot of people would agree with you, Greg, when you say that Skywalkers are played out and they want new stories. But there's also a lot of people that wouldn't. That's the issue with the Star Wars fandom. There's so many people that we all want different things. And that's why we're getting so many different things. Maul is over here. Ahsoka is over there. The Rey movie is over there. Dawn of the Jedi is over there. So many different things at different points in the timeline that have brand new characters, legacy characters, a mix of both for all different fans who are sick of Skywalkers and still love the Skywalkers. That's the issue of having a fandom so large, because everybody wants different things. And trying to please everybody, it's not really that easy to do. Which sounds crazy. Okay, hear me out. Maybe Star Wars could take place somewhere else in the galaxy with the new characters that aren't Skywalkers. Well, the craziest part about that, and you're absolutely right, is Star Wars for the last 50 years, 48 years, okay, 48 years, has taken place in the same exact spot in the timeline. About 60 years from The Phantom Menace to The Rise of Skywalker, and we've taken place inside of that 60 years for almost 99.9% of content. This is a galaxy far, far away, an entire history of an entire galaxy, and we've taken place in the same 60 years. So there's plenty of other time periods to explore, the future, the past, anywhere. Different places in that 60 years, anywhere, at any point, outside of those 60 years. And yet we haven't explored it yet. So when people talk about Star Wars is dying, like there's an infinite amount of Star Wars to be told. We just don't have the stories yet. Yeah. Mic issues? Wait, what? It's good on my end. It's good on my end. Alexander Wilson with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says George R.R. Martin says that Andor was this year's highlight, a realism and tension to the story. That was sadly lacking in most Star Wars shows. Tell George R.R. Martin to go finish Game of Thrones already. God damn. Tell him to stop watching Andor and finish the last book. No, I mean, he's not wrong. Andor was peak. I disagree with the lack of that in other Star Wars shows. There's plenty of realism and tension in, I guess not really realism. Star Wars has a lack for realism because it is a galaxy far, far away with a bunch of aliens. But I guess the lessons are real. Need more of the unknown regions? Yeah, maybe. I think the Dawn of the Jedi will give us that with the Rakatan Empire and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It seems like we have one side saying get away from the Skywalkers and the other screaming it's bad when they do so. Yeah, well, that's the issue. That's the line that they have to toe, is people really want more Skywalkers. They want more Luke. They want more Vader. They want more all of that. And people don't want to see that ever again. And the ability to balance that is the mission that they have to accomplish, should they choose to accept it. Yeah. I have a solution that will make everyone happy. It's called Write Your Own Story. You're the only one who has... Wait. You're the only one who knows how you like it. Oh, you mean like write your own fan fiction? I mean, yeah, I guess. But that's not really, It's hard to make a multi-million-dollar project in your basement. I mean, it is getting easier now with AI and all that stuff. Yeah. All right. Since you guys all stuck around for an extra long live stream today, I do have an extra surprise for you today. And no, it is not Obi-Wan Kenobi sitting on top of the Boba Fett helmet, because that was already caught at the beginning of the live stream by John Groom. Don't think I forgot, John. I will get you those 1,000 credits. But nobody's still yet to guess my my shirt. So, yeah, you know. Yeah. In my opinion, I just want more Star Wars. Well, that's a great opinion to have. Yeah. Anybody guess what the surprise is? Anybody guess, chat? Can anybody guess? Let me see if I missed anything really quickly here. No, we talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Definitely want to touch on that. We looked at that. 300 days till the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We talked about that. Okay. No, John. No. No. No, that's why it's called the surprise. True. I'll give you a hint. And your hint is not just John Boyega is returning. Boba Fett helmet? Yes, Boba Fett helmet right here. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yes, Skywalker Academy guest from the finally return. I don't even know when the last time she was on here. It's a long time ago, and you guys have been begging for her to come back, so we finally made it happen. Introducing from a galaxy very, very close and not that long ago, Sam!
Hello, everyone.
She's back. Hang on, let me move over for you. Ah! Oh. Okay. So, we saved the best for last for you, okay?
Hi, everyone. It's been a minute. Hope everyone's well. I've missed you all.
Don't lie to them like that. Nope, don't lie to them like that. So, we got a couple things to talk about here lastly. And one of the big ones being this. Oops. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is in 300 days, which means for you that you have to watch in the next 300 days. I don't even know if this is mathematically possible, actually. Somebody has to do the math on this. We have to watch, we're on season 4 of the Clone Wars. So we have to watch season 4, 5, 6, 7 of the Clone Wars. Okay? We have to watch The Acolyte. You wanted to rewatch the prequels again. And the originals too?
Yeah.
Holy crap. So that's 6 more movies. So we have to watch, what was that? Okay. 11. We're at 11 projects. We also have to watch The Bad Batch season 1 through 3. So that's 14. We have to watch, I mean, you might as well throw in Solo. You might watch Solo, Kenobi, 16. Rebels season 1 through 4, 20. Andor season 1 and 2, 22. Rogue One again. So that's 23. Then you have to watch The Mandalorian 1, 2, 3. That's 26. You have to watch Ahsoka. You have to watch Skeleton Crew and Book of Boba Fett. That's 29. And did I say Skeleton Crew? I just said Skeleton Crew? Okay. I'm losing my mind. And then only. So that's 29 projects. You can come to the movie theater and watch the premiere in 300 days of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie with me.
So 30 projects, 300 days. That's the 30th. That will be the 30th.
Wait, so hang on. Just say that again.
Well, okay, there was 29.
Yes.
This one, Mandalorian and Grogu movie, will be the 30th.
Yeah.
On the 300th day. So I said 30 and 300 days.
So what you're saying is every 10 days you have to watch a new project?
Or if it's a whole season.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole season.
In 10 days.
Yeah, that's not as easy. Yeah, because there's seasons of television, not just...
Correct.
So what you're saying is we got to get on it.
Correct.
Okay, chat. What do you think the chances are that we together can watch all 29 of those projects before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie hits theaters? What do you think the percent chance out of 100 is that we do that?
75.
Really? That's very high. I was going to say like 20, but okay. 13? That's a lot different than 75. 75% chance. Okay. All right. All right. Let's actually put this up in a poll. Let's pull it up, Jet. We got to lock in. I mean, I did not realize that how much we actually have to do in that little amount of time. Do you think me and Sam and I? Oh, hey. You want to type it? Sam and I can watch all 29 Star Wars projects. And they all are either like a 2-hour-long movie or a 22-episode season. 29 Star Wars projects before the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I feel like I'm under pressure right now because you can watch me mistakenly type out things. Yes or no?
Typing.
What? No. My microphone. Okay. Me and Sam. No. But Filoni says you don't have to watch anything else first. True. Should we just not watch anything? No, you
Watch anything.
You have to watch it all. You have to watch it all. You have to watch it all. Okay. In other news, at San Diego Comic-Con, they also had this. So we were looking at the display thing that they had up, and one of the things was Anakin Skywalker, which they described as Anakin Skywalker had the potential to become the most powerful Jedi ever, suggesting that he was actually truly the most powerful Jedi ever. However, he had the potential to become that. He was not actually that. Because as we know, of course, who beats the crap out of Anakin on Mustafar?
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, the GOAT. Space Jesus himself. Yeah. Wait, why is Jedi trending right now?
Why would you think Jedi wouldn't be trending right
How the creators unfollowed Jedi Master Yoyo proof on Instagram.
now? It's important.
Are you kidding me? This is like the most groundbreaking news ever. Change the title of the live stream. Change the thumbnail. Sound the alarms. Why is this a post on Twitter? Okay. That's the internet is weird. Okay. We were talking about Acolyte projects again. This comes out in 3 days. Jackie, back from the dead. Yord, neck unsnapped. Spoiler alert! Oh no! No, you didn't hear. You don't know these people. End the stream! End the stream! Oh no! Oh no!
He's ruining Star
No,
Wars.
no,
for me,
no, no.
everyone.
I didn't mean it. Spoiler alert. It came out a year ago. It's your fault. Okay, this drops in 3 days. So if you want more Jackie and Yord, because they're very much alive, still living it up. It was horrible. Okay. Yeah, so that's about it. We talked about everything else. And we were coming up on 2 hours. So okay, yeah, I won't tell her what happens with the rest. I mean, the Acolyte's so great. I can't wait for you to watch it, but now, you'll just have to forget about that, which you will. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, I won't. Oh, yes, you have to watch the Tales shows, too. There's more projects. Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld. So, we're at 32 now. I must have forgot something else, too. But 32. 32. Yeah. We want Sam. Yeah, the Acolyte. So you'll have to give all your takes on everything. What do you think of the Clone Wars so far?
Clone Wars is great. Very much enjoying it. There's lots going on. We just finished, well, not just. The last time we watched it was a while ago, but the Mortis arc was epic.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
Yeah.
Ready to continue watching.
Mortis arc is peak. That's for sure. You got some more peak coming too. But, Star Wars Visions. No, we'll skip that. Rebels is not next. No. We're going back. So we're going to watch Clone Wars, then we're going to start over. Not actually start over, but you know what I mean. Acolyte first. So, yeah. Yeah. Cosmic the Cow is watching Clone Wars right now. There you go. Okay. So smash a freaking like on this stream if you haven't already. How many likes do we have, Jen? How many likes do we have? Oh, actually, that's not bad at all. That's not too bad at all. Huge shoutouts to Darth Plagueis, Lives, Ron, Darth Drafter, Alex, Jacob, and others. Oh, WV Grad, Darth Drafter. I already said that. The very generous super chats and memberships. Those keep the lights on over here, of course. Yeah. So, yeah. George Lucas is tomorrow at San Diego Comic-Con, so we'll get some hopefully Star Wars stuff out of him if we're all lucky. But until then, yeah, watch out for a short tonight and, yeah. Live stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the rest of your lives. And once she catches up in 300 days, then we'll get a second microphone. You can chime in on everything because you'll know all there is to know about Star Wars. Right. You heard it here first. That's caught in 4K. 4K. That is, clip that. Clip it. Do you want to take us out? May the force be with you. Always.
You got it. You're the pro.
You gotta say it.
I gotta say it.
Yep.
And may the force be with you. Always.
That was terrible. Okay. What a great stream. What a great show. Like a pro. That's such a lie. Don't lie to her like that. 300 days. The countdown begins. I'm actually excited now. We'll go watch some Clone Wars later, and we'll get going on that. We got 300 days. 32 projects. We could do that. We might be able to do that. Highly unlikely we'll do that. But until then, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody. Oh, wait, we didn't end this poll. Hang on. Hang on, Chad. 72% of you do think that we can do that. Okay, well, it's 32 now, so maybe you think, oh, good night, everybody.